Orioles owner David Rubenstein with some difficult decisions to make. It is clear Mike Elias is on the hot seat. Will he make this trade deadline a success? Hello, everybody. I'm Jon Leiberman. This is Orioles Digest, and this is the most important week of Mike Elias' tenure as the Birds GM to date. We can't forget what he has built. We can't forget the 100-win season in 23. We can't forget the 2 postseason berths. But the Orioles have stumbled mightily this season. And now this man, David Rubenstein, has to decide if Mike Elias is successful during this trade deadline or if he fails. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what The Athletic says. The Athletic from the New York Times names Mike Elias as the number 1 GM on the hot seat. Do you agree with that? We're going to talk about that. Who does he have to deal with, literally and figuratively? What return does he need to get in order to call this a success? What can be done to make the 2026 Birds a competitive team? And also, who on this ball club stands to gain from if the Orioles do a big fire sale for everybody on an expiring contract or only under a year or two of team control? Again, I'm Jon Leiberman. This is Orioles Digest. Please like, subscribe, do all the things. I want to start with David Rubenstein. He has expressed his extreme disappointment in this year. And at this point, in this very week, it falls to this man, Mike Elias, to try and salvage 2026, to show the fan base that he wants to win and to make moves that improve this ball club. This is from The Athletic today. They named Mike Elias as the number 1 GM on the hot seat. The Athletic says a strong deadline could save Elias's job. A lackluster one could result in the Orioles bringing in someone new to the front office to work under Elias, or maybe even showing him the door. I believe he'll get the job done. I actually agree with this assessment. I think if you look at the track record of Mike Elias, what he has done to turn this team around, I think this is the guy, of all guys, Mike Elias is the guy you want in the seat right now making these deals. He's well respected by other GMs. He does fair deals, and I think that he is going to get it done this deadline. But we will know over the next 8 days. We will know if this team becomes better for next year. So this is back to The Athletic. Let's look at what the Birds have to offer in deals. Position players like O'Hearn and Seti, of course. Veteran starters like Charlie Morton. Relievers like Greg Soto and Sir Anthony Dominguez. All of them are going to be free agents, so you would expect all of them to go. The Orioles could also consider deals, and I'm told that they are, that the phones are open for deals around Félix Bautista, who's under team control for 2027, and Ramon Laureano, who has a club option for 2026. What gets tricky here is, unfortunately, many of these players who are trade bait, if you will, are simply not performing right now. And not even on this list is, say, Zach Eflin and Tomoyuki Sagano. Eflin, who's been injured, working his way back. Sagano, who has struggled as well. And you look at guys like Cedric Mullins as well. Mullins is mired in a pretty drastic slump. You look at the numbers, and you don't love that 294 on base percentage. The 13 dingers, 42 RBIs are fine, but he's striking out a lot this season, and he's simply not. He's not putting up numbers where you would expect a huge return for Cedric Mullins. And so I want to ask you, how do you define a strong deadline? What would the Birds need to get back for guys like Mullins, O'Hearn, Morton, Sir Anthony, Soto, Soto who struggled again last night. What would it look like? To me, the Birds have to get some starting pitching back. Absolutely. The Birds have to make deals for some starting pitchers, both major league ready right now and also that, have the potential to come up next year. Because if that happens, then of course you have hopefully the team getting healthy as well. And you have the likes of Grayson Rodriguez and Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells coming back next year. And now that coupled with the young core, who by and large has underperformed this year, but you have to expect this was an anomaly. You have to expect that next year, Adley, if he's healthy, and Westy, and Cowser, and Holliday, and Gunnar, this is your young core, and it's one of the best young cores in baseball when they play up to their potential. And we would be absolutely remiss if we didn't point out, this has sunk the Orioles in large part this year. The injured list. It's a who's who. Between Adley, we talked about Kyle Bradish, Cade Povich, Tromp, okay, but then you have Zach Eflin, Tyler Wells, Keegan Aiken is out, Suarez, who was great, is out. We talked about Grayson. You have Mountie out. Scott Blewett's out. All of the backup catchers out, but Sanchez was having a great year, and he's out. Cody Poteet is out. Jorge Mateo is out. This is basically essentially, a starting rotation plus a decent amount of your lineup that is just on the injured list. And this doesn't even take into account some of the baby birds that are haggling with injuries as well. When you look at Samuel Basallo, who hopes to be back soon, you look at you look at Honeycutt down at Single A, who's hurt now as well. And so all of this does beg the question, if the Orioles do indeed trade away all these guys, who does that benefit for this year to try and prove more? I would say definitely Basallo gets called up, and we see what he can do if he's healthy. He has that oblique sort of injury. He hopes to be back very soon. You have Kobe Mayo, who will probably be given an extended chance, especially if Mountie and O'Hearn are gone. You're going to see Kobe Mayo get a real shot. Chase McDermott has to be healthy. If he's healthy, he is one of the top arms the Birds have. You would probably see him in the rotation when healthy. Dylan Beavers has been lighting it up at AAA. You're going to see him in the outfield if Seti goes and others. And you may get a look at Enrique Bradfield Jr. You may get a look at Vance Honeycutt, although, as I mentioned, he's hurt right now. So you're going to see a Birds team in August and September that looks a lot different, but you're also going to get a tryout for next year's team as well. But again, Mike Elias is on the hot seat. I believe he will survive. I believe he'll be given 2026. And if the Birds do not only make the postseason, but advance in the postseason in 2026, then Mike Elias will be out of a job. Please stay tuned. Orioles Digest. We're going to have everything coming up for you in this very busy week. Talk to you soon.